as humans, we hate to be wrong. This is the first point that we're going to go into. We're going to dive deep into this. This is something that I found to be very transformative for me personally, and maybe it will be for you too. We'll find out. But the reason why we're going into this, before we can construct a new identity, if you choose to do it, we're going to talk about your current identity and where it came from and why you do the things that you do. All right. So Henry Ford says this: whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Anybody heard this quote before? Very common. No need to dwell on it. Let's move on. All right. In general, to make sure that we are quote unquote right, we will subconsciously sabotage or enhance whatever our behavior to be proven right. So who's seen this before, right? Where somebody thinks that they are not good enough at something. Let's say they're trying to learn a new skill, or they're trying to, whatever it is. Some people may have seen this. If you've seen someone trying to quit smoking. When it is time to actually do the thing that needs to be done, when they try to do it because they see themselves as whatever they are, maybe they're a procrastinator, maybe they see themselves as a loser, maybe they see themselves as whatever, even if they're doing the quote unquote right actions, the wrong results happen. Who's seen that before? When you've seen it, can somebody give me an example of something like they've seen after they've done it themselves, or maybe they observed it in somebody else? And if it's somebody else, please don't give names, because we ain't trying to put anybody on blast out here. Go ahead and speak up, somebody, anybody.
Can't think of it.
No, because y'all was lying to me. I see how it is. Cool. Also, when we're out there, when we're seeing any type of evidence of whatever, we will ignore the evidence we don't like, AKA the evidence that doesn't agree with our self-identity, that doesn't agree with what we think or believe. And we focus on what we do like. Perfect example, I'm gonna use this a couple of times. Think about how the elections went in 2020. Think about that. When people were talking about QAnon or Trump or whatever it is, no matter what the subject was, people will only look at the information that they found that resonated with their core beliefs. If you tried to present evidence of the contrary, it was quickly dismissed. Shirley put in the comments cognitive dissonance, and that's exactly why. Cognitive dissonance is that very uncomfortable feeling of getting that contrary information of what you really think or believe. When your worldview is shifted and changed in ways that doesn't align with who you are or what you think, it's uncomfortable. And uncomfortable is putting it lightly. Sometimes it's a very physical reaction. The election in 2020 was set up for Trump to win. Well, definitely didn't. It's a very physical. It could be a very physical and uncomfortable reaction to something, and because of that pain, our brains, we are wired to run away from pain. That's also why a lot of times when we procrastinate, the thing that you're trying to get done is seen as some sort of pain. So we're trying to avoid that pain. That's something you guys might want to write down. All right. Now, what is right or correct is based on the view that you have of yourself. So there are times where you may see yourself as a certain individual or a certain way, or you only do things a certain way or something like that. Like you've ever said, hey, that's not like me. I don't normally do that. Or I would never do that. You'll never catch me doing something like that. Or you're like, hey, you know how I am. I don't be doing that stuff. That's part of your identity coming through, and actually you letting the world know and kind of reaffirming to yourself who you think you are deep down inside, right? Now, the ego itself, it is a part of you, but it's not who you are. So being right and all that, a lot of times how we actually check into all that is our ego. It's that voice that we hear in our head. A lot of times when we're thinking to ourselves, we're kind of like talking to somebody. Anybody talk to themselves in their head? You guys know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? That's more times than not, that's your ego. And again, it's not about being arrogant or anything like that. It's just a construct that you've made of yourself. And the ego is not necessarily your friend, because the ego will be quick to point out all the negative things that are within you and around you. It is the person, so to quote, the person that's going to trip you up, That's going to make you self-doubt. That's going to cause you a lot of frustration and anxiety.
It's like that protective wall.
Yeah, exactly. It causes you to focus on the wrong things. It's that nagging critic that we all develop, and it develops from our childhood. Sometimes that ego or that voice is your parents. You hear certain things in your parents' voice, or a critical friend, or you fill in the blank, but it is not you. That's not your inner mind. That is something you created, and with a lot of work, you can actually destroy it. Not easy. Most people don't. You know, that's when a lot of people get into meditation and they become like Zen-like. When you become Zen-like, you get rid of that attachment. That's when you can get rid of the ego. But then you probably get rid of everything else too, as in like your attachment to like worldly possessions and things of that nature. But yeah, if you can shut up your ego, or at least quiet it down so it's not so loud, you're going to be a lot happier in life, no matter where you are. Now, what do you normally want to be right about? Your habits, your beliefs, your worldview, your abilities, everything. You never want to be wrong, ever. So far, is this making sense to you guys? Are you guys hearing what I'm saying? You guys understanding it?